thank you for inviting me here. I know that you expect my knowledge from how we, and my experience, how we overthrew Milosevic, but I think it's really something which happened a long time ago, and from then to today, there was many different non-violent revolutions, so I will try to share with you how we, after Otpor, did things and how we helped some groups in the world to remove their regimes in a non-violent way. So, after we changed and overthrew Serbian dictator Slobodan Milosevic, many groups from all around the world contacted us and asked our help and to share our knowledge and experience. Funders of Center for Applied Nonviolent Actions and Strategies, or shortly CANVAS, were part of a team that organized Otpor and had the idea to create something which would be the essence of nonviolent struggle. Within the Otpor movement, at the beginning I was in charge for distribution of material. Later I started to work at networking with the people. And last 2 months, when we had office, when Milosevic called for earlier elections, I was in charge I was office manager. But none of the position I left. Like, I stayed in all positions all the time and worked parallelly all these things. CANVAS is non-profit, non-governmental international network oriented to educational work related to strategic non-violent struggle. Our mission now is to reach widest possible international audience in order to share experience and learn more on strategic non-violent conflict, spreading this knowledge to the future generations. From 2002 to 2012, CANVAS organized and participated in 135 workshops and conferences with more than 2,500 participants from 46 different countries, empowering non-violent movements and helping international organizations act more efficiently. Together with partners, CANVAS has developed a curriculum for transferring knowledge on strategic non-violent struggle and has published 2 books. Together with Belgrade University, CANVAS has developed graduate studies on methods of non-violent social change, which was started in February 2008, as well as MA program in political analysis and management starting from 2011. After participating at the workshop created by CANVAS, some groups managed to reach their goals, like in Georgia and the Revolution of Roses. We transferred knowledge to a movement named Khmara, and they launched the Revolution of Roses and replaced Shevardnadze. In Ukraine in 2004, am I speaking too fast? Translated? Okay, thank you. In Ukraine, 2004, knowledge was transferred, and we trained a movement named Pora movement, where those people were leading engine behind Orange Revolution. You can see that at the square of Kiev. We trained in Lebanon in 2005. Initial groups who performed the Cedar Revolution and launched the million people sit-in after Hariri's assassination, with the effect of Syrian troops leaving Lebanon and ending 35 years of conflict without any bullets shot. At Maldives 2008, we trained people who were behind the electoral victory of MDP and Democratic Allies against dictator Gayoom after 32 years of regime. Mohamed Rashid Ani, opposition candidate, was elected as the first democratic president of tiny and 100% Muslim country. And last, hopefully not least, is Arab Spring and Egypt movement. We transferred our knowledge and experience to the April 6 movement and several other civic groups like Kefaya and others, which played basically a pivotal role for non-violent revolution in Egypt, replacing Hosni Mubarak. There are many examples where certain ideas, tactics, campaigns are created at the workshops by participants, and after implementation, some small victories were achieved in the countries like Burma, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Belarus, Iran, Syria, etc. but struggles are still ongoing and hopefully will lead to regime changes. You can see at this world map that we have worked at almost every single part of the world, which unfortunately doesn't mean that the world is more non-violent. Though there are proofs that non-violent struggles are more effective and even faster way to get results than violent struggles. It means that there are many more dictators and autocrats who want to control people, and even more those who think that violence is solution for conflicts. I need to sorry. What is the common wisdom of those who are controlling the military and the army, the police and media, the pillars of the support, as we call them in Canvas? They think, like Mao Zedong, is that power comes from the barrel of the guns. Or like Josip Vissarionovich Stalin, when he was referring to the head of the Roman Catholic Church, he asked him, the Pope, how many divisions has he got? On the surface, that may appear as a truth. However, Gandhi's effort to end British rule in India, the drive to defeat Pinochet, the Poles in Chile, the U.S. civil rights movement under Martin Luther King Jr., Lech Walesa leadership of the Solidarity labor movement in Poland, the overthrow of Slobodan Milosevic in Serbia, and the recently the Middle East events prove that governments, no matter how brutal, ultimately rely on consent of the people. A united movement committed to the non-violence with thorough plan to achieve its goals is capable of momentous achievements. Such a strategic movement is the worst nightmare for every autocrat and can pull the pillars of support out of the government support and force the strong men to make concessions once considered impossible. And what is the concept of non-violent action? Dr. Martin Luther King said, there is more power in social organized masses on the march than there is in the guns in the hands of the few desperate men. Our enemies would prefer to deal with the small armed groups rather than with the huge unarmed and resolute mass of people. We in Canvas strongly believe that real power is coming from the people, not from the guns. I will now try to explain connections between Serbian Revolution and Arab Spring and how our knowledge and experience helped them. First of all, we had for decades wrong perception of frozen region, and either dictatorship or extremism was present in the Western policy minds, those who made decisions. Instead, a huge number of mostly secular, educated and young people, inspired by uprising in Tunisia, awakened through the region and discovered that they are in fact the ones who are powerful. Nobody in the West expected that. We in Canvas have been in touch with the groups from across the region, especially Egyptian youth groups led by April 6, the student group formed in 2008. Representatives of April 6 visited Serbia in July 2009 and developed mobilization and knowledge transfer capabilities, which has given them pivotal role in protest in 2011 and in igniting phase of the First Revolution. During our workshop, we delivered many different things and ideas, but I will mention few lessons that we think participants from Egypt collected and learned. First, universal principles of success, unity, planning, and nonviolent discipline. Second, fear versus enthusiasm phenomenon. When enthusiasm is growing, then fear is going down, and vice versa. And tactics of dispersion and using humor to undermine the authority of the ruler. Since Gandhi, unity is the main principle of success in nonviolent struggle. Whether it concerns building unity of the white people with oppressed black majority in the civil rights and anti-apartheid movements, or Serbian effort to bring together 18 opposition parties behind one anti-Milosevic candidate, the principle stays equally crucial. The unity factor has been greatly presented in Egyptian struggle. You can see all those pictures, and if you can recall what you saw from Egypt, you can see that they managed to unite under one symbol and to unite different religious groups, which at the end resulted with unity of the people of Egypt. Unity in symbols. Similar to Serbs who stood behind Otpor's fist, when Egyptians understood that they had to be united under the same symbol, they met at Tahrir Square, and individual groups agreed to get rid of different symbols, including the clenched fist, symbol used by April 6th, and to appear at the square under just Egyptian flag. If you remember, you will see that all protests at Tahrir Square were without any symbols, just the Egyptian flag was there. Unity in the religious groups. You can see in these two pictures below, I don't know if it is clear, that Coptic Christians at Tahrir Square protected Muslims while they prayed, and day after, thousands of Muslims cheered the Coptic wedding, which brought unity of religion groups in the struggle which Mubarak didn't expect it at all. Also, what they did, they planned to overtake selected pillars of the support. In order to run a successful non-violent revolution, movements from Gandhi through Valenza to Aquino were planning how to predict the opponent's next move and pull people out of institutions which were supporting the status quo. In the case of Egypt, fraternization with the army from the day one was the part of the plan and was successfully implemented at the square. Overtaking the role of the police, when Mubarak withdrew his forces to provoke chaos and disorder, they organized so-called guardians of neighborhood. So they protected those protesters and divided Mubarak's aggressive supporters from groups who wanted to stay non-violent and to protest on Tahrir Square. And communicating clearly with international and progressively lead them from terrified and suspicious and therefore reluctant to give up from their dictators to supportive to the opposition. You can see here a case of Obama-Mubarak relations, and you can see that just in a year and a half, from August 19, 2009, when Obama warm kissed Mubarak, and just a year and a half later, in January 30, he said that Mubarak must step down. It was moves and wishes of those who were on the streets, and they communicated straightly and wanted the change of international community policies. So that was the plan.